rules of fiqh for fasting. And I now hand over to Ustad Siraj Mahmood, who will be leading this session. Jazakallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. So as it's been mentioned by our host, Ustad Zafar, we're going to go on to the fiqh aspect. So basically this is the do's and the don'ts. So what is required for you to do in order for your fast to be valid, and what you shouldn't do so your fast does not break. So inshallah, we're going to go over the essential things that you need to know. So this is very important. So without this knowledge, basically, you will not be able to keep a fast. So you could go all day thinking that you're fasting, and maybe you commit certain acts which you think are okay, and you're thinking, you know, you're doing good deeds, you're keeping your fast, you're being rewarded, but it could be a very slight thing that you may have forgot or not remembered, or because you didn't have the knowledge of it, because you didn't take time to understand or learn, that your fast may not be valid. So for that reason, it's very important to try to listen and take on this essential knowledge, inshallah. So the title of the presentation is Fasting Face Masks and Prophetic Prescriptions. So what we mean by this is the things which will break your fast. The fasting face masks are those things that will break your fast. So if you're fasting, you committed these certain actions, then your fast would be broken. And the prophetic prescription are those things you can do while you're fasting. So first and foremost, we're going to look at what is fasting. So fasting in the month of Ramadan is fard, obligatory, upon every mature Muslim men and women, unless one has a valid Shari reason. So every person who is of the mature age, man or woman, has to keep a fast. It's like your salah is fard, fasting is also fard. However, there is certain excuses that a person can have according to Sharia, which we're going to look into on a later stage. Number two, fasting means to abstain from eating, drinking, and marital relations, explicitly intercourse, from dawn till sunset with intention. So the most important part here is to abstain from food, but also the intention. And if you see the third point, if a person refrained from all this, but forgot to make intention, then their fast is invalid. So if you've gone all day thinking that you've had a fast, but you've not made an intention for it, then consider that your fast is not valid. So this is a very important point. That is abstaining from food, drink, marital relations, but also you have to make that intention. And that intention should be either made the night before, or at least before midday of the fast. So now, what things are permitted while you're fasting, or what things will not break your fast while you're fasting? To eat or drink something unintentionally. So if you forgetfully put something in your mouth, so you've forgotten that you had a fast and you put something in your mouth, then your fast will not break. A mosquito, fly, or any other object going down the throat unintentionally. Again, something like of this nature goes down your mouth unintentionally, maybe while you're asleep or whatever. In certain countries, the weather's different, there's flies about. For whatever reason, something like this goes down your throat, then your fast will not break. Water entering the ears, dust or dirt going down the throat, swallowing one's own saliva, though this is disliked, so you shouldn't do this as a way to get rid of the thirst. So this is disliked. And taking an injection, unless it's something for the digestive system. So any other injections for muscles or pains are fine, but if it's something that is for the digestive system, then that will break your fast. Okay, moving on. Applying surma kohl into the eyes, taking a bath to keep cool, rubbing oil onto the body or hair, to vomit unintentionally. Again, the important part is the unintentional part, that it just happened, you didn't intend to do it. Applying ittar or perfume, it is not permitted to inhale the smoke of luban or agarbatti. So in our culture, generally speaking, on Fridays or in mosques, we tend to use luban or agarbatti as a special sort of spray. So while you're fasting, this is not permitted. So if you inhale that fume, that will break your fast. So in Ramadan, maybe prevent yourselves from putting that on in your house, or do it at a time while, after the fast is open. And also, it is also not permitted to smoke cigarettes or inhale its smoke. Brushing the teeth without toothpaste or powder, e.g. using a miswak. So when one is fasting, we should try to use a miswak, and this is a very rewardable sunnah. So we should even try to use it anyway, but this is the time to use it more and more to get the reward of using it in the month of Ramadan. A dream which makes ghusl wajib does not break the fast. Some of these are quite straightforward things, but at the same time, they're very important that we follow them. Okay, now moving on, fasting face marks. So the things that breaks one fast are of two kinds. So some make only qaza necessary, whilst others make both qaza and kaffara, i.e. expiation, compulsory. So we're just going to go into what the definition of these two are. So qaza, to keep one fast in place of the one that breaks, or is broken intentionally. So if you've broken a fast in a certain way, that we're going to go into, which type of fast, qaza, which types of kaffara, you have to give a kaffara, an expiation, then a person will just have to replace that one fast. That's a qaza. So just say you've broken that fast, then you'd only have to do one fast afterwards to make up for that. Whereas kaffara, to keep one fast after another for 60 days continuously. So this is different. So this is a certain type of act you did which broke the fast. However, it has a more of a sort of severe consequence where you'd have to continue fasting for 60 days. Now, if a person is unable to keep these 60 fasts, then one has the option of choosing from one of the following. So for whatever reason, a medical reason, you're severely ill, you can't keep them 60 fasts, but you still need to make them up. Then there's other ways that a person can do that. So this just shows the other ways that can do it. So feed 60 poor people to their fill for 2 meals, or feed one poor person 2 meals a day for 60 days, or give 60 poor person 3.5 pounds, approximately 1.6 kg of wheat or its value in cash or food grains, or the same thing to give it to one poor person, same 3.5 pounds of wheat, rice and food grains to its value or cash for 60 days. So this, alhamdulillah, just shows that the flexibility and the consideration for a person that really they should have no excuses for not making up the fast. And this just also emphasizes the importance of fasting, of how important it is, of how much of a great sunnah and action this is also. So moving on now. So the things that breaks one fast but make only qaza wajib. So basically, you don't have to continuously fasting for 60 days, you just have to make the one fast up that you broke for whatever reason. So now it's based on these reasons when you can do qaza. So anything put by force into the mouth of a fasting person. So someone's forcefully put something into your mouth, so therefore you'd have to do a qaza. So another time you'd have to make that up. Water goes down the throat whilst gargling, conscious of one's fasting. So very important. You might be doing wudu and you accidentally put water down your mouth while you're gargling. Maybe you're gargling for too long. For whatever reason, your fast is broken. So one is, if you forgetfully break your fast, so if you forgetfully, when you didn't remember you're fasting, that's different. But one is where you know you're fasting, but you accidentally put something in your mouth, and that will break your fast. That's a very important rule. So when we're doing wudu or using water or anything, then we need to be very careful. And for those who cook as well, so they have to sometimes, you have to taste the food or whatever, you have to be very careful that it doesn't go down the throat. So next, to vomit mouthfully intentionally or to return vomit down the throat. Again, intentionally is mentioned. Swallowing intentionally a pebble, piece of paper, or any item that is not used as food or medicine. Swallowing something edible equal to or bigger than a grain of gram, which was stuck between the teeth. So now, that's if it's stuck in the teeth, or something the size of a grain of gram. However, even if it was smaller than a grain of gram and you took it out of your mouth and put it back in, then that would break your fast. Putting oil into the ear. So continuing from there, there's a few more things which will make a fast qaza wajib. Inhaling snuff into the nostrils, which is a certain type of tobacco. Swallowing the blood. So if the color of the blood is more than saliva with which it is mixed. So you had this question on your workshop. So basically, if, for example, your gums are bleeding and the blood is more than the mucus or the spit, so there's more blood than, you could say, saliva, then your fast is broken. However, if there's more saliva than blood, then it will not be broken. Okay, to eat and drink forgetting that one is fasting, and thereafter thinking that the fast is broken, to eat and drink again. Straightforward. To eat and drink after Subh Sadiq, so the time where the fasting ends, or to break the fast before sunset due to a cloudy sky or a faulty watch, and then realizing one's fault. So this is just emphasizing the importance of doing your sahri and your iftar on time. Okay, now these are things that both that are qaza and kafara. So if you were to commit these acts, then you would have to fast for 60 days continuously, or if you cannot fast, then feed a poor person in whichever method is possible. So number one, eating, drinking, or breathing, or breaking the fast in any other manner, e.g. smoking, etc., without a valid reason. So if you broke your fast without a valid reason, then you'd have to do qaza and give kafara. Okay, applying surma into the eyes or rubbing oil on the head and then thinking that the fast is broken, to eat and drink intentionally. So because of lack of knowledge, you think your fast is broken, but it's not. And you had that intention that I'm going to eat now, and then for that reason you'd have to give kafara and make up the qaza. To drink any kind of medicine intentionally, noted injection is permitted. Okay, so it's the fact that you're breaking your fast intentionally without a real valid reason. So for that reason you'd have to give kafara. Okay, now those who are exempt from fasting. Sick people, when their health is likely to be badly affected by fasting, they should make up the loss a day for a day when they recover after Ramadan. So for example, if you're severely ill and for that reason you cannot fast, then you can make that up on a later stage. A musafir, a traveler. So this is someone who is traveling for 77 kilometers, around about 45 miles, and is staying in that place for, who's not staying in that place for 15 days or more. So for this person, he's exempt, but however it's mentioned, it is better for him to fast in Ramadan than keep qaza later. So if you can still keep the fast, then you should keep it, because you're going to have to make it up anyway, but Allah Ta'ala has given that leeway for that person, provided the journey is not a tiresome one. If it is feared that hunger or thirst will lead to death, it is permitted to break one's fast. So that's straightforward. It is wajib to keep qaza of a nafil fast that was broken before completing it. And then finally is fidya, giving compensation. So a very old person who does not have the strength to fast, or a very sickly or diseased person who has no hope of recovering after Ramadan, should give fidya for each fast he missed in Ramadan. So for example, if a person is very sick to a point that where they cannot fast, or it's going to make their health worse, then they have to give fidya for the amount of days that they're going to be unwell for. Okay, and one thing which I just want to mention also is about an inhaler. So if anyone needs to use an inhaler, then you can use it, but it is better that afterwards you make that fast up. So out of an emergency or for whatever reason while you're fasting, you have to use the inhaler, but it's also better then afterwards to make that fast up. And then it's mentioned how the fidya should be given. The fidya for a fast is similar to that of a missed fard or wajib salah, meaning that it's obligatory. So if you're a person who's in that state, very old, or you have such an illness that prevents you from fasting or will deter you or harm your illness even more, then you have to give fidya, it's obligatory. And so it's mentioned how one can do that. So to give 3.5 pounds, approximately 1.6 kg of wheat, or 7 pounds, approximately 3.2 kg of barley, or the equivalent in cash, or in cash. And generally speaking, if you can't work that out, any local imam can explain that to you. So it's common knowledge. So it's not difficult. But however, if an old or sick person gains strength or recovers after Ramadan, he must keep the missed number of fasts, and whatever was given as fidya will be rewarded for him from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you've become better, then whatever days that you didn't give fidya for, then you keep them fasts. So inshallah, this is basically your necessities, the essentials. There is other things like mustahabs and dislike, but this is the things that you need to do and you need to know. And with this information, inshallah, a person's fast will be valid. So this is something maybe you should start familiarizing yourself more and more with, and go over this and read this. When it does come to fast, you're not struggling or you're not unsure what to do. Okay, Jazakallah for that. If there's any questions, there is ustads walking about on both sides, ustadas and ustads, then just when you get time, you can ask them, and inshallah they will happily answer your question. جزاك الله for your time. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
Jazakallah Ustad Siraj Mahmood for that detailed analysis of the rules of fasting. As you know, many people have many misconceptions, and unless they are not answered and clarified for people, then many of them, fast with these false beliefs. Maybe they've broken their fast and they don't realize that they've broken it, or something they think has broken their fast and it has not done. And again, it leads to a very sort of disturbed experience during the month of Ramadan. Before I invite our Honorable Teacher Sheikh Ahmad Dabbagh, the main guest, chief guest for today's ceremony, I'm going to ask our beloved brother Mikhail Mala to come and do a couple of nasheeds for us. I have not had any overwhelming request for a particular nasheed, so you have a free hand to recite and sing whichever nasheed you fancy. Before you start, if you just take a seat at the same place. Before you start, if I can just take 1 minute of your time just to show you a promotional video for our forthcoming trip to the city of Fez. If brothers can play that, please. Okay. So this is the trip that I mentioned earlier. It's going to be a great holiday and a great educational trip for families who want to sort of go abroad and enjoy the sun and have an educational experience with the teacher of the UK Academy of Islamic Sciences, Sheikh Ahmad Dabbagh. So if we can it's just a minute long, if we can just watch that now, please.
Seek to Change presents Self-Discovery in Fez and Beyond. The City of Saints in the company of Sheikh Ahmad Dabbagh. A 10-day family retreat and self-discovery course with world-renowned scholars. With fun activities for the children and youth. Excursions to the mountains of Tetuan and the blue city of Chefchaouen. Discover yourself through Fez and beyond. Book now.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. الله 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 ما لنا مولى سوى الله 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 ما لنا مولى سوى الله كلما ناديت يا رب قال يا عبدي أنا الله قد كفاني علم ربي من سؤالي واختياري قد كفاني علم ربي من سؤالي واختياري فدعائي وابتهالي شاهد لي بافتقاري الله 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 ما لنا مولى سوى الله كلما ناديت يا رب قال يا عبدي أنا الله يا إلهي ومليكي أنت تعلم كيف حالي يا إلهي ومليكي أنت تعلم كيف حالي وبما قد حل قلبي من هموم واشتغالي الله 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 ما لنا مولى سوى الله 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 ما لنا مولى سوى الله كلما ناديت يا رب قال يا عبدي أنا الله هذه الدنيا تزول والبقاء ليس يطول هذه الدنيا تزول والبقاء ليس يطول أين من يمشي يقول كن شفيعي يا محمد الله 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 ما لنا مولى سوى الله كلما ناديت يا رب قال يا عبدي أنا الله ناظم الدر المحرر صالح من آل جعفر ناظم الدر المحرر شيخنا من آل جعفر راجي فضلا منك أكبر بالحبيب مولاي محمد وأحسن منك لم ترى no eye has seen anybody as beautiful as you, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This companion, Sayyidina Hassan bin Thabit radiallahu anh, was one of the greatest poets of Arabia of his time. Prior to him accepting Islam, the non-Muslims, the Kuffar of Quraysh, they gave Sayyidina Hassan bin Thabit the task to write poetry defaming Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Sayyidina Hassan bin Thabit accepted it, and he was given a good amount of money. So he thought, before I write this poetry, let me see this individual who I will write about, and see if there's any faults or any flaw in that individual. So Sayyidina Hassan bin Thabit radiallahu anhu, he went and he looked at Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He was on top of a hill, and he was just looking over at the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then he saw our beloved sallallahu alayhi wa sallam walking towards him. Then Sayyidina Hassan bin Thabit radiallahu anhu, he said that moment when I saw the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam look at me, his glance, the beautiful glance of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he laid his eyes upon me, every bad thought I had of him disappeared, and I had to cover my eyes from the light of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Sayyidina Hassan bin Thabit radiallahu anhu, he accepted Islam at that point, just by looking at the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So he says, وَأَحْسَنُ مِنْكَ لَمْ تَرَ قَطُّ عَيْنٌ, that no mother has given, وَأَحْسَنُ مِنْكَ لَمْ تَرَ قَطُّ عَيْنٌ, no eye has seen anybody as beautiful as you. خُلِقْتَ مُبَرَّأً مِنْ كُلِّ عَيْبٍ, that you have been created, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, without any defect, without anything wrong with you, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. كأنك قد خلقت كما تشاء, that it is as though you have been created the way that you wish to be created, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. قمر سيدنا النبي قمر وجميل سيدنا النبي وجميل. Qamar is the Arabic word which means moon. One time the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was standing with his companion Sayyidina Jabir radiallahu anh on a night when the moon was full, so the 13th, the 14th or the 15th of the lunar calendar. Sayyidina Jabir radiallahu anh, he says in a hadith narrated in Tirmidhi, that I looked at the moon myself, let me look at the face of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and compare it to the moon. So Sayyidina Jabir says, I looked at the moon and I looked back at the face of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And I looked at the moon again and I looked back at the face of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he did this one more time. And describe the beauty of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In reality, we know the beauty of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is much more beautiful than the moon. But just for us to comprehend his beauty, we use this word to describe his beauty. الله وعطرها يبقى إذا مست أيادي الله الله وكف المصطفى كالورد نادي الله الله وعطرها يبقى إذا مست أيادي الله الله وعم نوالها كل العباد وعم نوالها كل العباد وعم نوالها كل العباد حبيب الله يا خير البرايا قمر سيدنا النبي قمر وجميل سيدنا النبي وجميل ولا ظل له بل كان نورا الله الله تنال الشمس منه والبدور الله الله ولا ظل له بل كان نورا.
We are prepared.
Sheikh Ahmad Dabbagh is a teacher of self-purification who resides in Greater Manchester in UK. The method of purification he currently teaches to those under his guidance links back to Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabbagh rahimahullah and Sayyidina Abdul Qadir al-Jilani rahimahullah and is known as Tareeqah Muhammadiyah. His family lineage links back to Imam Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah. He was born in Pakistan and grew up in Denmark. His first teachers were his grandfather and grandmother rahimahullah, who were known as pious ascetic servants of Allah. His great-grandfather Sheikh Khairuddin Awliya was a disciple of Sheikh Bahauddin Zakaria Multani Suhrawardi rahimahullah.
We have a lot of information about Islam on internet, Google, and books and everywhere. But the question is how can we utilize the information to make us successful in this dunya and akhirah? And in this regard, I can see the Tareeqah Muhammadiyah under the supervision of teacher Sheikh Ahmad Dabbagh is doing a beautiful job in changing the life of thousands and thousands of people. What makes Tareeqah Muhammadiyah unique from the other organization is that Tareeqah Muhammadiyah actually stresses on the practical implementation of the rules and regulations of Islam in the daily life, which can really benefit us. Sheikh Ahmad Dabbagh's personality is actually a role model for the followers who are actually following him. and it encourages them to motivate them to follow, because they see Sheikh Ahmad Dabbagh actually following the Sharia from A to Z on the best possible way. So which actually the people like me actually motivates them to follow Deen and gets the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
At 6 years of age, he had a desire to memorize the Quran, learn the Islamic sciences, and spend the next few years of his life studying with a number of mashayikh and ulama from whom he received permission to teach these disciplines. He has a postgraduate qualification from Salford University in Strategic Marketing and Financial Management from the University of Central Lancashire, and has worked in the police and prison services in the UK. He is now self-employed and does not take any wage or salary to do the work of Deen. In recent years, he and those who are under his supervision have been helping others who seek Allah's closeness by establishing 3 zawiyas in the northwest of England and a TV station on Sky Television. He delivers several discourses a week which can be listened to and viewed live at zawiya.org.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. We know in Hadith Jibreel, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam talk about Islam, Iman, and finally Ihsan as well. And Ihsan, this is so important. This is part of Deen, and for practicing Ihsan, we need a true guidance to teacher. Alhamdulillah, last 14 years, I know Sheikh Ahmad Dabbagh, Damat Barakatuhu Madda Zilluhul Ali. According to my finding, my research, he is a true Sheikh, true spiritual master, and only for the love of Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's serving Deen long time. And I myself actually get more benefit from him. I wish all of his success, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of his khidmah for Deen. Jazakumullah.
I'll take your hand. Oh, I'll come with you.
He has traveled to the holy cities of Medina and Mecca and fairs in recent years where those who desired to take a path of purification benefited from his works, and further took the teachings to Turkey, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and the Middle East, where zawiyas have been established under his guidance. He received further ijazas from shuyukh in the Shadili, Darqawi Tareeqahs. In addition to ijazas, he has in Naqshbandi, Suhrawardi and Qadri Tareeqahs from various teachers.
Take my hand, come with me. Take my hand.
Sheikh Ahmad Dabbagh is a teacher of self-purification who resides in Greater Manchester in UK. The method of purification he currently teaches to those under his guidance links back to Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabbagh rahimahullah and Sayyidina Abdul Qadir al-Jilani rahimahullah, and is known as Tareeqah Muhammadiyah.
Worldly desires, and they specialize in helping people break those chains of addiction, break those